The Neo Reality Entertainment brand expands with a relaunch of the Neo Reality Collective Pop Culture News Talk. Your host, Eric Brown, gives his insights and thoughts in the ever-expanding news world of comic books, professional wrestling, gaming, TV, and movies. Be sure to donate to the brand and keep up to date with additional content on YouTube channels such as Neo Reality Entertainment, NRE The Wrestleverse, and NRE Pop Culture Omniversa.
Today's edition of Neo Reality Collective is brought to you by Anchor.fm, a free distribution service podcasting hosting platform that allows you to record your podcast on your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and so much more. You can even make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor.fm app or go to Anchor.fm to get started today. Thank you and enjoy the episode. Welcome everyone to Neo Reality Collective. Been taking a hiatus. I just got monetized on my wrestling channel and I wanted to focus on that for a little bit, but I'm back. Not sure how long this is going to be frequent, but I'm trying to see as much content as I can pump out on here and upload onto YouTube and everything. But it's finally time to tackle a destiny of madness. The dawn of a new era as we bid goodbye to the reign of X and hello to the destiny of X. Yeah, there's a lot of X motif here. And surprisingly, we're not talking about 10 Lives of Wolverine. No, we're going to say that in a little bit, but that's going to be a different podcast. We're instead talking about the tie-in to the Devil's Reign event going on in the Daredevil side of the universe, because Krakoa is part of this since they are based in New York with the X-Men hanging out in their treehouse. And just to give us some rundown, since I have not covered the whole event going on in Devil's Reign, basically it's stuff going on in Daredevil, and Elektra became Daredevil, which was awesome, much to people's freak out because that doesn't make sense to people, even though everyone else was cool with it. And plus it's a new take on the characters, directions and everything with Matt Murdock, and there could be two Daredevils. Let's just say that there are two Daredevils. There's two Spider-Men. There's like how many different Robins, but whatever. A woman being Daredevil is not really gonna be the end of days. Unlike unless the government was pissed off about it, in which case Wilson Fisk is. So Wilson Fisk is the supreme leader, has pretty much declared himself as, of New York City. He has outlawed superheroes in the most powerful city in the world, as was described in one of the institutional letters, especially since a lot of superheroes and villains tend to operate in New York, which makes me think New York is way bigger than it actually is supposed to be in the Marvel Universe, because I'm like, wow, there's a lot of people in New York when you think about it, and they don't cross with each other more commonly. Okay. But moving on from my pessimistic nitpicking, Wilson Fisk has outlawed superheroes, has his own secret police force essentially with the Thunderbolts and the villains for hire, and this time the X-Men are now crossing paths with the Kingpin, Mayor Kingpin to be exact, and he has eyes on the presidency. I could make a joke, but I'm not going to. It's fairly possible at this point that he could be president after what happened the last time. So I say we're fair game on that. And like we're probably equally as screwed, but still. But yeah, Wilson Fisk is saying for much bigger dreams than being the mayor of what is considered the most powerful city in the world, besides Washington, D.C., and Beijing, and Moscow, and Tokyo, and whatnot, but that's a different matter. But Krakoa, however, has stated that they do not operate by the laws of the human race, because they're their own nation, and they have a worldwide agreement of amnesty with the rest of the world of citizenship. So all mutants are judged under mutant laws, not human laws. But you really think the Kingpin's going to take that thing down? He has history with the X-Men, mostly with Emma Frost, but she's part of the X-Men technically, so yeah, this counts. So it's going to be a bad tiding for the X-Men, as they now have to tackle, especially Emma Frost has to tackle with the threat of the mayor now raining hellfire upon her. But can Emma Frost tackle this? Oh, probably. It's Emma Frost. And she'll probably go ahead and cool it all down with her looks. So I say we're good on. She has her chances. So let's not waste any more time. Let's dig in after these messages. Devil's Reign, X-Men #1, and kickstart the initiative of the Destiny of X saga. I know it's not technically part of the Destiny of X, but I'm considering it at this point. After Inferno and after a few issues of the main X-Men lineup, I wanted to just do this little experiment with the playlists and everything. But let's dig into this. I'll see you after these messages. Ladies and gentlemen, Devil's Reign, X-Men by Gerry, Duggan, and Phil Noto. If I butchered that last name, I'm sorry. Wilson Fisk ruled the city by fear. He intends to rule it with respect. I promise to somehow get a hold on Boba Fett after these messages. But it wasn't his only weapon. He had his fat fingers into everything. And when fear wasn't enough, there were whispers of invisible women, and that made sure the man in the institution and bent to his will. And it worked. He's the most powerful man in the most important city in the world. An unnamed reporter about town. And he's probably dead, considering he just called the Kingpin fat, even though he's really raw muscle. Yeah, this is the thing I gotta ask. How is the Kingpin so giant and all muscle? Like, sometimes I kept thinking, like, is he supposed to be a mutant, but they don't know he's a mutant, and he's decreed himself to be man, or just that damn lucky to have a genetic thing that allows him to be a super muscular despite his appearance? Yeah, I don't get it either. Yeah, it would have been funny though if he was revealed to be a mutant. It would be kind of funny. Not gonna lie. The past. As we see Wilson Fisk, naked and all, meditating in his steam room with a bunch of dead bodies. Actual comparison of how life goes. Enter Wesley. Mr. Fisk, I would ask about this, but you know, this is the Marvel Universe. I'm kind of used to it at this point. I have 2 names that need to be sorted this evening. This job. Deals with men I no longer have any need of. Send Elektra. And that name will never not be taken seriously by me. So Alexa slits the throat of a bodyguard and arrives into the shadows, revealing itself to be Kevlin, who was killed. Kevlin, is that you? And this man is a moral man. No real failings to exploit, and I cannot kill him, unless not yet. He is for Frost. Emma Frost. Gentlemen, private party, toots, but come back later, maybe. How rude. Sleep, and when you wake, go buy your wives the most expensive mink coats on the rack. Hello, Mr. Lufek. Who are you, and how did you get back here? Go freshen my drink. As she uses her telepathy to basically tell people to do her bidding. Hey, where are you going? We have a mutual friend in a high tower. He asked me to change your mind, but I already said I couldn't give Fisk. Shush. You're about to hear my voice in your head, and then you're going to give the Kingpin what he wants, and this will all be over. But before I go, I want to assure you how lucky you are. See, I'm the good witch, and someone out there right now is the bad witch. I saw problems with a gentle whisper. The bad witch doesn't even make a peep. When she waves her magic wands around, as a little girl is seen watching everything and puts her light out to see Elektra Nachios. I am never going to take that name seriously. Revealing, well, oh dear. Probable victim. Pray you never see the bad witch. Elektra notices this and turns to see the little girl before she goes ahead and covers her eyes and then realizes is that, well, she's gone. Oh, thank God, we weren't going to get a child murder. Because that means you're dead. Secrets of the past. No outlaw has evaded more justice than Wilson Fisk. The former kingpin of a vast criminal empire, now the duly elected mayor of New York, Fisk has failed to wash his hands of his old life and has set his ire upon the city and every costume vigilante in it, including the newly elected X-Men, who have just publicly lost their leader, Cyclops. Yeah, that happened in the X-Men book by Gerry, Duggan, and Pepe Larraz. While responding to a rampage in Manhattan, needing to protect the truth about mutant resurrection, Cyclops has taken the persona of Captain Krakoa and has returned to the public eye to lead the X-Men, currently operating out of a Krakoa-grown base known as the Treehouse. Makes sense to me. Like, yeah, it was a very public death. Yeah, boy. Seneca Park, a gift from Mutantdom to the city of New York in the present. My fellow Knickerbockers, our heroic security forces are now finding out throughout the city to protect us from the walk-in weapons that we have lived in the fear for far too long. This is broke to all points. I figure here we got a flaming bag of crap at our front door. To that way of life, I say no more. No more costume vigilantes. That does not sound more epic and ominous than no more mutants, but I do not have Wanda Maximoff's powers. Our beloved city has suffered far too much at the hands of the vigilantes. So from this day forward, they are illegal within the city, whether they are using their fearsome powers or not. We want to return to the simpler days, and we want that ridiculous and dangerous tree removed from Midtown Manhattan. So, okay, question. I know this is going to be a bad idea to ask, but, Mr. Fisk, I have a question. You do realize there's no such thing as the normal days according to the Marvel Universe? I mean, we've pretty much been abnormal since the 40s. I don't think we can really do anything about that anymore. And really, I think you can make the argument we've been abnormal since before the 40s. Like if Wolverine's saying indications. Time's up, X-Men! And U.S. Agent! Oh, you crazy psychopath. Meanwhile, the Fantastic Four are being raided by Otto Octavius and his security force of the Kingpin. Across town at the United Nations, Mr. Leyland, are you aware of what's transpiring at the Treehouse? I am, but I'm afraid the matter has been debated and settled. The United Nations will not interfere, even with a city when city criminalizes our people. Ordinarily, I would tell Cyclops to move across the river to New Jersey, but I have no love for the current mayor of New York City, and if I can embarrass him, it would bring me great pleasure. Plus, I paid a fortune for the real estate. Here's what I propose. Yes. I would think that would do the trick. Mr. Leyland, there's something about him that was never really addressed, I think. In the comics, he was resurrected just recently, but he's been dead for a long time since, if I'm correct, probably Chris Claremont's days, and his death was very public. So unless everyone forgot, which considering what the X-Men have become nowadays, especially with mutant leadership, I wouldn't put it past they erase everyone's collective memories. But yeah, I don't think they ever addressed that yet. I've been patient enough, and the cameras are on. I'm taking the door. And U.S. Agent throws his Thunderbolt shield. So is he called Thunderbolt Agent? And it bounces back with Polaris. I hate these freaks. That's United States government property. Polaris is drinking coffee. Polaris? I thought we were playing Frisbee. The kids play down at the yard all the time. Deploy. Sir, U.S. Agent, we are having problems deploying at present. Walker to command has expected the X-Men are non-compliant. We're questioning the Thunderbolts at this stupid Treehouse. Operations are underway across the 5 boroughs, Mr. Mayor. There are some complications, though, with the X-Men. We knew they would claim some level of diplomatic immunity. Taking them into custody is a priority so long as they move their operations out of New York. That's the issue, sir. They seem to be resisting even that. Wonderful. A pitched battle with law enforcement makes my argument for me. You do realize, Cyclops says inside the treehouse, if we're filmed fighting his cops that were doing the Kingpin's work for him, please, Scott, let's accord him to the honor of his position. It's Mayor Kingpin. Players, stall for a few moments more. We could be X-Men. We may just have to give up the Seneca Gardens. It seems to a point of pride for Mr. Mayor Fisk that he's going to make it illegal for us to operate in New York, and I'd rather pick my battles. So what happens to the treehouse? It becomes Emma's new Airbnb? How about we open the first homeless shelter in Central Park West? I second that. Well, let's table the treehouse for now and go face the music. Then you better suit up, Cap. Right. And Cyclops shifts into his Captain Krakoa outfit because they're trying to make a mockery of Captain America, I think, at this point. There's no need for any fight. Well, there's no need to fight, but we could if y'all wanna. But we're not gonna fight in front of the cameras. Can we start over, John Walker? Where's the shield? Oh, shield. I threw it back to you, but I think I overshot him to Manhattan. And he shocks her. Polaris, you don't know who you're messing with. We're the Thunderbolts! Oh yeah, Mrs. Elektra, basically. A female Electro. Yeah, that's a thing. I was confused by that for a while. Like, that's how far removed I am from the Marvel Universe outside of X-Men. And even then, my X-Men knowledge is still limited at best. What are you doing, Rhino? You look ridiculous over there. Remy's gonna be very disappointed. Ain't nothing personal, sugar. Just business. Electro, you think I'm afraid going into that hole? Oh, I don't know what that means! Laura, wait, we only be helping them. I fought the original Wolverine, but not this pretender. Oh, dude, I'm so not interested. Damn it, my insulting of women is not getting me any women, and I must change my approach. I'll hit them. But anyways, yeah. Considering that in Hickman's world, he's acknowledged the two as Wolverine, X-23 is now considered Wolverine, and Wolverine Logan gave his approval and his blessing, so we can end that argument. This, whatever this is an illegal structure and is being seized by the city of New York. Now open that gate. That won't be possible. Well, Jean says, looking tiredly annoyed at this. Well then, I guess we'll just have the parks department come down with the tree chippers or some dump trucks. You will do no such thing. The Treehouse is now recognized by the United Nations as a console of the sovereign nation of Krakoa. The X-Men posted here on a mission of goodwill for the betterment of all mankind, and indeed all life on planet Earth. I would throw you out of Seneca Gardens, but it remains an open green space for all New Yorkers, even you, Mr. Walker. U.S. agent to HQ. The mutants look like they had got blue hats from the UN. I see. Stand by, U.S. agent. Fisk is out of his depth playing politics with me. Yes, I should know. I worked for the sumbitch. The woman is out of her depth, Wesley. Tell the Thunderbolts to continue their rounds. I'll leave the X-Men to me. Thunderbolts, we're done here. Thank you, Emma. Getting one over Mr. Fisk is one of my old hobbies. Careful, I can feel his rage even across town. Currently... Mr. Mayor, here's your dossier on Emma Frost. If I may suggest prudence, there are some ways in which using some of this may blow back on our own operations, and forgive me, sir, he says that to gain the stink eye. Summon the chief of detectives. Let them know that something interesting information have come to light. In the cold case of a young woman murdered here in New York City. Oh, so... she was killed. Way to go. Let's make sure justice is done, even if that justice were to implicate a rich and powerful woman of privilege. Next, the Invisible Woman. So, yeah, that little girl, yeah, it turns out she was killed. They just never showed it, surprisingly. So, at least that can mean that DC can say, we have killed children on screen. I'm like, off panel, but we've shown the blood effect. When you push to change the world, it pushes back. Quote by Emma Frost. I don't know if she actually said that, but that's a different subject. But yeah, that's the end of that issue. It's a pretty okay issue, I feel like. Like I said, this is a tie-in to the Devil's Reign event. So, and while I could theoretically cover Devil's Reign, not really. Like, I have been reading it. It's pretty good from what I've seen, but I have to read all of Chip Zdarsky's Daredevil run, and I'm waiting for that in deluxe hardcovers. I did review back in my Pop Culture Omniversa days. You can find the video on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, which was rebranded to Neo Reality Collective in order to, you know, diversify everything, to try and streamline a lot of things. But, yeah. Oh boy, it seems Emma Frost is going to be accused of murdering a young girl, even though that looks like it's going to be Elektra, even though Kingpin could have just ratted out Elektra as Daredevil. I mean, he does know that. Like, I know in the Devil's Reign event, he doesn't remember that Matt Murdock managed to erase the memory of Kingpin's memory of knowing Matt Murdock was Daredevil, but wouldn't he know Elektra is also Daredevil now? I don't get it. I don't know. But, yeah. Yeah, it's kind of amazing. Also, I gotta keep asking this question. I will possibly ask this question more than once as we talk about Devil's Reign X-Men. How does the Kingpin somehow get away with all his publicly known crimes and get to the 80th most powerful position in the world? I only say 80th because it is New York, where a lot of superhero activity occurs, but he wants to be president, and I was like, how the hell do you do that? But I'm not a politician, or, well, not really. And I'm definitely not a know-it-all when it comes to criminal organizations and how they can get away with their publicly exposed crimes. That or the Marvel Universe erases everyone's memories every single 6 years. Oh, cutting corners have saved us again. But that's here or there. Devil's Reign has ended, and Phil Noto, while I've always found his artwork to be very minimalist at times, and there were some times that it did kind of look really out of place. Yeah, like sometimes the artwork looked like it was very choppy at best, I could say, but yeah, it does get the job done what it needs to do. But I kind of just wish Pepe Larraz did this, but I don't know why he doesn't do the artwork regularly with X-Men lately. I'm like, it's good, it's phenomenal, I don't know why, but the artists they have substituted in the X-Men books were pretty good, and I did get Pepe Larraz vibes from them, but not a way to say this is just as great, if not better than Pepe Larraz. But yeah, it got the job done what you needed, and I think that's serviceable. And plus, this is a tie-in to the events going on in Devil's Reign, so we'll see how more it goes. Also, every time when they kept bringing up the term Invisible Woman, I was like, oh my gosh, his store was in league with the Kingpin! I was tempted to make that joke, but it was just too easy for me. But, yeah. So, we'll see y'all next time. Hopefully, this will be about 10 Lives of Wolverine and 10 Deaths of Wolverine, but we'll see how that goes, especially with Marauder's annual #1 coming out soon. Anyways, this was Neo Reality Collective. Feel free to check out my other content in the future, and stay tuned for this final ad break in our outro, and we are signing out.
Be sure to donate to the brand and keep up to date with additional content on YouTube channels such as Neo Reality Entertainment, NRE The Wrestleverse, and NRE Pop Culture Omniversa.